Hi all and namaste. So today we are going to understand what exactly DevOps is and why this DevOps culture is in place. What is the need of DevOps we are having in this IT industry. But before going to understand that DevOps culture, you should have understand what all environment we have, because this is the normal practice is done by all the organization before going to deploy your application, whether it's a phone pay application, Paytm application, or it's a Google Pay application, right guys? Google Pay is what? Google Pay is nothing but this is your application, right? Just try to understand very carefully over here. Okay, so what I am telling is, before going to understand this DevOps, you should understand this environment. So we have something called DTAP. Okay, so this DTAP is nothing but called your DTAP environment. What does it mean by DTAP environment? So DTAP environment is nothing but D stands for your development environment, T stands for your testing environment, A stands for your acceptance environment, and P stands for your production environment, right? Right guys, are you getting my point? Are you with me? Are you understanding? So just try to understand, whenever our application is 100%, when a application is gone through different environment, through different phases, so you know something, before going to deploy the application into production environment, we should do a trial run, we should do a dry run, correct? So for example, if you want to build a vaccine, then what you need to do is you need to do a trial of that vaccine before going to provide that vaccine to everyone, right? You need to do a particular trial on human, then only, or in animals, then only you will be going to say no, now this particular vaccine is 100%. So same way also with the application, if you know the particular application is up, the particular application is able to bear the load, then you are going to deploy that application into your production environment, correct guys? And then the particular application or a Google Pay application is your live, and it is used by the many users. Now coming back to here, just try to understand this DevOps guys. So DevOps is what? DevOps is not a rocket science. DevOps is a culture. DevOps is a methodology. It's a way of working which we need to adapt, and which we need to tell others that they have to adopt in their IT culture by use of some set of tools. Do you think really it was not there before? This development team was not there before, or this operations team was not there before? No, they were there already before, but they were working separately. So this is what I am calling. But now when this DevOps came into the picture, this is called your DevOps, when where you are merging your development teams with your operation team. And why we are doing all this stuff? Because to speed up the work, to increase the performance, or to get more and more innovations. So yes, there are some set of tools which was available for this particular development team. Under this development team, we have a coding team, we have a testing team, and what all these operations teams. So you know, in operations team there is something called storage team, network team, server team, right? System integration team, and finally you have something called your application team. Now let's see what these teams are doing earlier, and why this DevOps came into the picture, and which all tools are available to speed up the work of a DevOps culture or to DevOps environment. So DevOps is not a technology. DevOps is nothing like some PHP, Java, .NET or something. It's a culture which we need to adapt, guys. Just try to understand over here. So you know what is the job of a coding team? So he'll get a different modules. If suppose he'll get a module from the design team that he has to develop a login page or to develop a payment gateway page, correct? So he'll start doing the coding. So once he's done with the coding, what he'll do, he'll pass it on that particular code to whom? to your testing team, so that this testing team will start doing the testing, right? That is what the job of a testing team. But if this testing team finds some bug or error, then again this testing team will do what? They'll send it back to your coding team. So again this coding team will look into the issue and they'll start their coding from scratch. So do you not think this is a time consuming, which we were doing with our earlier software development lifecycle models, like your waterfall model, like your agile model? Agile model was also there previously. That is, but those models are only going to support for your coding and testing team, not for this operations team. Yes. So in this scenario, again this coding team, what they'll do, they'll sort it out the issue, and again they'll give it back to whom? They'll give it back to this testing team. So it's clear that it's a kind of a deadlock creating over here. It's going on and on, correct? And who is suffering out of here? Your customer, your client. Do you think that client has this much time to wait for an application? If he wants to be application ready by in next 3 months, so he is going to wait for 2 years? No, it will be a huge impact, correct? So you need to speed up your work. Now the next thing is, just understand over here, if the code is success, okay, the code is success and it is given to the testing team, and again testing team has done, now your application is able to bear the load. They are telling, no, this application is absolutely fine, you can go ahead and deploy. Where you can go ahead and deploy? In the production environment. So this particular code from your testing team is given to whom? To the operations team, to deploy that particular Google Pay applications in your production environment, correct? Now understand what are the roles of these each and individual teams will be there. And there is also one more thing I just wanted to discuss with you guys, that yes, there were some automation tool already available with this development team earlier. But what about these operations guys? They are poor, they are still poor, they were poor. But now when DevOps introduces, they got some automation. Now understand, when this particular testing team and coding team has given the code and they are telling, go ahead and deploy this particular code, this Google Pay application to your server. What is the job of a storage team? The job of a storage team is to provide the space for the server, correct? So that your particular application is not going to hang. This is the job of a storage team, right guys? He has to attach a new LAN to your server, whether it's a Linux operating system, whether it's a Windows operating system, or whether it's a Mac system. That is the job of a storage team, to provide enough space and to make your system up and running 24/7. Now what is the job of this network team? The job of this network team is to see that there should not be any network connectivity issue. The network connectivity, there should not be any packet loss. Guys, are you getting my point? Are you able to understand what I want to say over here? That is the job. He has to make sure all the firewalls should be open, correct? Then only your application, you are going to communicate. How you are going to communicate this Google Pay? Through your app only, right? And that app is going to communicate via internet, and that, right? And it's going to communicate to those server via network. So it should be, your connectivity should be up and running, right? So that is the job of a network team. Now what is the job of this server team? The main job of the server team to install, or you can say, to make your operating system up and running 24/7, so that your server should not get rebooted. Any application which is running on top of the server, it should make sure your operating system is up and running. There should not be any performance issues related to your operation, to your Linux operating system, correct? Where you are going to deploy that particular application on top of your Linux operating system only, right? Whether it's a Linux, whether it's a Windows. but I am going to tell you 95% of the servers are running on a Linux machine, whether it's a Ubuntu, whether it's a Fedora, or whether it's a Red Hat Linux. That is the job of this server team, right guys? Now the next thing is, this team comes first, system integration team. What is the job of a system integration team? The job of a system integration team is to deploy that application. So once you'll get the code from this coding and testing team, that code should be in .war and .tar file. It should be in a package, right? Your Google Pay application should be in a package, and that team has, this SI team will deploy that particular application on top of this Linux operating system, and these other teams are going to support this server team. That is what the job of. So this, once this particular system integration team will deploy that application, this particular application is up and running. When your application is up and running, then only you are going to use that application, and then only you are going to generate the revenue out of that application, correct? And the final but last but not the least, this is your first line of a support. So that application team, or that particular application has to monitor by some particular team, right? That whether the services are running properly or not, services got stopped or not. So they should get alert, and they should inform the other team, whether it's a server team, network team, or storage team. They should tell no. So for that, we have different set of tools are available. But just understand this particular thing, this particular whole set of teams, they were doing this task manually, right? They don't have anything till this DevOps introduces. So now when this particular code came from here to here, and this particular development team wants to deploy that code into operations to team into the production environment, but this team is facing some issue with that application, they will tell no, this application has some bug, some error, it's not giving proper response. Then what this thing will be go, this team again will be giving back this particular application to your development team, and again this development team is started and bugging it out, digging it out, and we'll see where is the issue. Again it will be going to the testing team. So do you not think it's a kind of a circle which we are creating between these two teams? There is no coordination between these two teams, right guys? Are you understanding my point, what I want to convey over here? So this is a kind of a deadlock, and you are ultimately creating a gap over here. So if I can see, if I can put here called gap, this is a gap, this is a lag between this development and operations team. So this is why we have introduced something called DevOps. It's a culture where you have merged this development team with your operations team with some kind of a set of tools. Guys, try to understand this thing. And why we were doing all these things? We were doing all these things because of your client. Client is not going to wait this much time, guys. Try to understand. And to speed up your work, to speed up your performance, to put some more innovation into this one, this is what called your DevOps, guys. Are you able to understand? So DevOps is nothing but it's a culture where we are going to learn some set of tools which is not only going to help this development team also, which is not going to help for this operation team, but for the entire infrastructure. It's going to help those DevOps tool which we can combine. And as a DevOps engineer, you need to learn all those tools, you need to understand those tools, and you need to implement within this development and operation, and you need to make your infrastructure better and speed up, and more performance should be there. You should be able to automate your task by using those DevOps tools, and you should get more stability, and your client will be happy. So this is what called your DevOps, guys. Guys, are you able to understand? Thank you for watching this video.